So today I thought it'd be fun to show you the lenses that I've been using to create all my content on the a6500. And that's everything from YouTube videos to weddings, documentaries, and even photography. Now all projects require different setups, and all setups require different lenses. That's why it's a good idea to build up your lenses and diversify your lens selection. And if you just want to skip ahead and just go straight to the gear, then check out the description and the link below, and I promise I won't get offended. So the first lens I want to talk about is the Sony 18-105 lens. Now I love this lens simply because it's probably the most versatile lens I've ever used. Even though this is an 18-105 lens, the full frame equivalent is about 27-157 millimeters. Now that focal range is great because I can get a nice decently wide shot and I can push in all the way if I want to get a nice close-up. You can even use Sony's clear image zoom to push the focal length even further, which is awesome, great for weddings. A cool thing about this lens is that the zoom is all internal, so you don't have to worry about the barrel going out and going in. This is ideal for glide cam or gimbal work because you don't have to worry about the weight shifting forward or backward. And that just saves time and reduces stress when you're filming. This lens features Sony's OSS or optical steady shot. It's pretty much equivalent to Canon's image stabilization, except I think this is slightly better. You also have the in-body image stabilization of the a6500, so that just adds 5 axes of image stabilizations. And that's a huge win. This lens also features a servo zoom, so it's kind of similar to those old school camcorders where you would push to zoom in smoothly and push out to zoom out smoothly. It's handy. You do have the traditional zoom ring and the focus ring, but having that servo zoom is pretty cool. Now, this lens is not the sharpest. It's probably equivalent to Canon's 24-105 lens, Mark I, so use that as a guide if you've used that lens before, but overall, it's a great lens for the Sony a6500. The next lens I want to talk about is the 10-18 millimeter lens. Now, this is Sony's wide-angle lens for APS-C cameras, and it's fantastic. It has a full frame equivalent of 15-27 millimeters, and that's perfect for gimbal and glide cam work, especially if you want to get those wide sweeping shots. There is a little bit distortion at 10 millimeters, but it's a wide-angle lens, what do you expect? So if you don't want distortion, then you should probably push it to maybe 12 or 13 mil. This is such a light lens, I can't believe how light this is. As far as image quality goes, it's just like the 18-105, it's not the best and not the sharpest, but it's great. Regardless, if you need to get a master wide shot, then this is your guy. But since the Sony is an APS-C camera, then it's absolutely vital to get a wide-angle lens. So if you can, get this lens. Whoop. The third lens I want to talk about is my absolute favorite to use on the Sony a6500. And I've probably used this lens for maybe about, I don't know, 90% of all my content. And it's the Sigma 30mm 1.4 DC-DN lens. Now, Sigma are my favorite brand of lenses. They just produce really good skin tones. They're super sharp and they're much cheaper than the competitors. And they give you a better bang for your buck, pretty much. Now, this is a contemporary lens, not an art lens. It's not as sharp, but it's really good. In fact, I made a video comparing this lens to the Sigma 35mm, and you can watch that right over here. That was a fun video. Now, even though this is a 30mm lens, the full frame equivalent is about 40mm. I really like this focal length because it's close to 35mm, which is my favorite focal length. I don't know why. And so this makes this lens the perfect walk-around lens. It amazes me how small this lens is, yet it can produce such amazing images. It's a little heavier than the 10-18 mil, but that's because there's glass in here, good Sigma glass, and I appreciate good glass. Sigma 30mm 1.4, best bang for your buck if you want a prime lens for your Sony a6500. And now the wild card. So I don't have this lens, but I've used it once before, and I absolutely love it. So the last lens I want to recommend is the Sony 85mm 1.8. Now, this is not the G Master version, this is the ordinary FE full frame lens. For the a6500, it has a full frame equivalent of 127mm. Now that focal length is perfect for portraits, especially if you want to get that buttery bokeh in the background. Oh, it is just nice. It is definitely one of the sharpest Sony lenses in its class, and for the price. The autofocus performance is really smooth, and because of the in-body image stabilization of the a6500, you can actually hand-hold that lens without having it look too shaky. It's just a beast of a lens, and that's perfect for photography, for filmmaking, and I'm glad I threw that in there. So you're probably asking yourself, but which lens should I get first? Well, to me, there's no right or wrong way to approach it. It just depends on the type of filmmaker or photographer that you want to be. There is a general rule of thumb if you want to start building an arsenal of lenses, and that's to start off with a standard zoom, followed by a prime, and then a wide angle lens. And that way you'll figure out what type of focal lengths that you like, if you like close-ups or if you favor wides, and hopefully that'll guide you to the next lens you'll want to get, and the next lens, and the next lens, and the next lens. If you love landscapes, then go wide. If you love portraits, then go primes. If you like filming documentaries, then go with a zoom. There's even specialty lenses like telephoto zoom lenses that are great for weddings, or macro lenses that are great for bugs, or even tilt shift lenses that are great for architecture. Either way, it just depends on the type of filmmaker or photographer that you want to be. Again, all the gear that I mentioned are listed in the description link below, so make sure to check that out. And that's it! So thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate that. Hopefully this video was helpful to you. 4,000 subscribers. We've reached 4,000 and we're on our way to 5, and that's all thanks to you guys. So thank you so much for following my journey. And if you are new and you want to follow my journey as I build my company and brand, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button. What else am I missing? Instagram, Twitter. I'll see you there. Peace.